Do you believe in miracles? You may or may not be a big believer in God, but miracles have happened with everyone. It may be a small or a big miracle, but this does not matter. The world is a strange place. We come across many miracle cases like remembering your past life, seeing through the true meaning of life, escaping an injury or death by a millisecond, etc. There are so many things around us that we can be grateful for. But sometimes, as a society, we are conditioned to see things differently. There are thousands of homeless people who are on the streets. It's a given that we cannot take care of every homeless and needy person. As humans, we have divided ourselves into different statuses, forcing some people to feel like the useless person their whole lives. The negativity that builds inside them sometimes turns into violence. It's no wonder that we see crime rates increasing in today's world. The negativity has started to overpower the positive force of the universe. In this story, you will come across two people who belong to opposite poles of society, who face something shocking. Let's look into the life of Casey Fisher. Casey Fisher is not only a fantastic mom, but is also putting herself through college so that she can provide better for the family. She stayed in the busy town of Guilford, Connecticut. In a busy place, most people run by their daily lives without holistically looking at things. Casey is from a family that can fulfill all the basic needs and a few luxuries, but not too well to do. But Casey never took life lightly. With a 3-year-old daughter and a loving husband, Casey did everything in her power to spread light around her. Little did she know that life is going to make her cry soon. She set out to get a hot cup of coffee one day and waited in a long line like everyone else. Casey sat down near the window and began to enjoy her coffee. Many thoughts ran across her mind, but mostly about errands for the day. But other thoughts ran over her mind as well. While she was lost thinking about her daughter, she saw a man through the window. It seemed like he was picking up change from the street. He walked around for a while and looked gloomy. The man looked visibly homeless and on the verge of losing his mind. Her heart ached for the man who struggled to pull his life together. There are many reasons why a person may end up homeless. Too much ambition, lack of ambition, substance abuse, abuse at home, these are all the tip of the iceberg as to why a person would become homeless. This homeless man collected all his money and slowly started walking up towards Dunkin' Donuts. He wanted to buy a coffee, but it looked like he did not have sufficient cash to buy one. His awkwardness to walk into the place and the fear in his eyes spoke 1,000 words. Casey's heart ached to look at this man's condition. She thought to herself, what if I do not have enough money to buy a coffee for myself someday? Is the feeling devastating? Casey walked up to him and offered to buy him a coffee. The homeless man looked at her like she is crazy. She walked up to the counter and ordered a coffee and a bagel. Casey asked the man to take a seat and eat with him. Sure enough, he sat down but did not open his mouth. He had a serious look on his face and wanted to grab on the coffee, but did not make a move yet. Casey pushed the coffee closer to him and asked him to take a sip. The homeless man was now completely unresponsive. Casey was worried that she might have offended the man. To remove the awkwardness, Casey introduced herself and told him a bit about her life. Casey got treated with nothing but absolute silence. This silence started bothering Casey. She was not worried about herself but was worried about the man. Casey convinced herself that she would make him speak up and open up himself one way or the other. At one point, she felt annoyed with herself. Still, there was no response from the man. She figured that this is a lost cause, and she thanked the man for sitting down with her and got up to leave. She heard a voice from behind her telling her to stay. She looked around and saw that the man finally decided to speak to her. He smiled at her and asked her to stay for a bit and speak with him. Casey was more than happy to stay and talk to the man. But she had no idea that this decision would leave her in tears and rethinking her entire life. He did something to her that changed her forever. The homeless man thanked her for giving him when he most needed it. He looked at her with tears filled in his eyes. Casey was not able to see this man in such a sad state. So she sat down and asked him to tell her everything about himself. The man continued to tell her that usually, people walk away from him. He stinks, he wears old and dirty clothes, and the man looks like he could potentially kill someone. No one had ever offered to buy him anything before. He has been living on the streets for far too long now. Kindness has come to him very rarely. But how did this man end up on the streets? Everyone has a history in their life. The upbringing of a child is critical and shapes the child in the way they behave with others. Casey has seen her parents lending a helping hand to others, which made her care for the homeless man. Chris, the homeless man, was brought up in an abusive house. Abusive may be a smaller term compared to what he experienced. His father was constantly drunk and would take away all the hard-earned money of his mother. Why did his mother have to put up with a man like this? The number of sacrifices a mother makes for her child is countless. She stayed only for the sake of her children. He would see his father drunk all the time and loaf around the house. When things did not go the way he wished, he would hit his mother. The violence did not stop with his mother. When he could not find his mother around, Chris would be the victim of abuse. He tried protecting his mother as much as he could, but one day his mind felt like it would burst open. He picked up whatever he could grab and run fast and far. Chris landed in the city and was overwhelmed with the hustle and bustle. Slowly, he started to make friends on the street. There was no one of his age, but mostly teenagers and older men. They helped him with small gigs to earn enough money to eat. But he could not keep up with the lifestyle here. Initially, they would help him and steal his money during the night time. Sometimes they would snatch money and food right off his hands. The street was not a safe place for him and no different from home. He walked every day to different places, searching for a better life for himself. How well did this work out for him? He would beg people to give him a job, one opportunity to change his life. No one was ready to offer him even a cleaning job. Chris lost all hopes in life and, under the wrong influence of his friends, started drinking. It's a good thing that he had his childhood buddy, his dog, with him ever since he left his house. This dog was the only thing that gave him hope to stay alive and keep trying for a better tomorrow. Chris spent days and cold nights holding on to his dog and searching for food to eat. Every night he thought about his mom and what would have happened to her by now. Chris let her down by running away from home, but he had no option. He could not pull his mom to the streets along with him. If his father ever found out that she left, he could track her down and kill her. Christ wanted to do something with his life, which made his mother feel proud of him. After many days passed, Chris lost the only constant that was in his life, his dog. He could not have been more depressed in life. Childhood trauma, paired with constant loss, might as well have driven him to madness. But Chris was strong, and he held through and woke up each day for a better tomorrow. To add to this pain, he learned that his mother had passed away as well. How can a person cope with so much pain and have the will to stay calm with each passing day? This time was not even a low point for Chris, and it all began plummeting downwards when he got addicted to drugs. Substance abuse was the only thing that helped him move forward each day. He would earn money from small gigs and use it to buy drugs. There was no coming back from this feeling. What set Chris apart from the others was that despite his background, he spoke to Casey like a well-behaved man. He spoke to her politely and beautifully narrated his story. Chris finally decided to lead his life this way forever. By the time Chris had ended his story, Casey was holding back her tears. She could see his life story unfolding before his eyes. Sensing every pain he ever felt, Casey felt like someone had stabbed her with a million knives. She did not want to come across as a pity-giving person, so she kept these emotions to herself. Once the storm was calm in her mind, she saw her watch. An hour had already passed. She suddenly realized that she was late for her class. She thanked Chris for sharing his story in the most beautiful way possible. Before she decided to leave, Casey pulled out some more money and gave it to him. It was one of the deepest conversations she had in a long time. If she could, she would write a book about the way she was feeling about this. But right now, Casey could only speak words of encouragement and kindness. She did not lecture him about a better future, but filled him with hopes of a brighter tomorrow. His zeal of waking each day to keep himself alive was astounding to her. She thanked Chris for the company and told him that she would love to meet him again. Chris stood up quickly and asked her to wait for one more minute while he arranged for something. Running as fast as he could, he reached the counter of Dunkin' Donuts and grabbed a receipt that was discarded. Chris stood there and wrote something in it. He walked timidly towards her and gave the slip to her. Chris apologized for his shaky handwriting and thanked her for the lovely meal. Casey was confused, and she did not know what to do with this note. She kept her belongings back on the table and stood there to open this note. She was worried at a point that it might be a letter threatening her for something. Her hands shook as she opened it. After reading what was written in this letter, Casey's eyes filled with water, and she cried uncontrollably in the middle of the shop. Everyone started looking at Casey and the note in her hand. She looked at the note and read, "I wanted to kill myself today because of you. I now do not. Thank you, beautiful person." She felt like her entire core was shaken. She had not done anything but spoken to him for a while. She had no idea that a small act of kindness could save someone's life. Her ears and eyes felt numb for a while, and she heard a faint voice telling her, "Sorry I took up so much of your time." She stood there with tears running down her eyes for a while. Is this the value of human life? Few kind words? It's not money or facilities or richness and branded clothes, but a few kind words. His faith in humanity was restored when Casey was continuously talking to him to make him feel better that day. All he needed was someone to believe in him and lift him from his depression. By the time Casey lifted her head, Chris was gone. Chris would no longer be alive that day if not for Casey's strong words. For all we know, Chris might have changed for the better after that day. Casey went back home and posted this on her social media account. She wanted to inspire anyone else who needs a word of encouragement that day. Do not forget that you need not make big gestures to make someone's day. A small step will take you a long way in life. Whether a person is rich, poor, middle class, they all have stories of their own that make them who they are today. Never judge anyone if you do not know what they have been through in life. What would you do if you see someone in need of help next time? We hope to share your act of kindness with everyone soon.